A guy walks into a job interview. Two candidates left, same degree, same GPA, same everything. The hiring manager asks one question. What don't you know? First candidate laughs nervously. Not much, I'm pretty prepared. Second one pauses, actually pauses and says, honestly, probably more than I realize. That's why I ask a lot of questions. Second person got the job, not because they knew more, because of how their brain worked. Nobody tells you this, but the gap between people who seem to have it all figured out and everyone else, it's not IQ, it's not talent, it's a handful of thinking habits most people never pick up. In the next 6 minutes, I'll walk you through exactly what those are, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. If you're into content that actually makes you think, hit subscribe and the bell. New videos every week. Studies on persuasion show that arguing almost never changes someone's mind. But most people, the second someone disagrees with them, go straight into fight mode. Louder, more defensive, trying to win instead of understand. Sharp thinkers do the opposite. Their first instinct is curiosity, not combat. They say things like, walk me through how you got there. Not to trap anyone, just to actually understand. That move is one of the most disarming things a person can do. The other person was braced for a fight. Instead, they got respect. Their guard drops. Real conversation happens. You don't win arguments by being louder. You win them by making the other person think out loud until they spot the hole in their own reasoning. That's a learnable skill. Most people treat setbacks like verdicts. Failed a test, I'm bad at studying. Got rejected, I'm not good enough. One rough week, everything's falling apart. That's not analysis, that's catastrophizing. The brain is literally wired this way. Whatever just happened feels like the whole story because it's the most recent thing your brain can grab. Smart thinkers know this trick, so they zoom out deliberately. One bad grade is a data point, not a conclusion. Rejection is feedback, not proof of anything. They ask, what's the actual pattern here? When you stop treating every setback like a summary of your entire life, problems become things to figure out instead of things to fear. That shift alone puts you ahead of most people. Psychology research on locus of control is pretty clear. People who believe they can influence their outcomes are happier, more successful, and less stressed than people who feel like life just happens to them. In real life, this looks simple. Before spending mental energy on something, sharp thinkers ask, can I actually do anything about this? If yes, act. If no, let it go. Not because they're emotionally numb, but because worrying about what you can't control is just burning fuel in a parked car. Can't control the weather, can control whether you bring an umbrella. That's the whole system. Obvious, simple, and almost nobody does it consistently. Silence is one of the most underrated thinking tools out there, and most people are terrified of it. A pause in conversation feels like a problem to fix, so people fill it, sometimes with the first thing that comes to mind, sometimes with words that don't mean anything. Pure nervous habit. People who think clearly let conversations breathe. They don't rush, and strangely, this makes people perceive them as more intelligent, not because they said something brilliant, but because they look like someone who chooses words on purpose. Research actually backs us up. A thoughtful answer after a pause is rated more trustworthy than a fast, confident one. Try it once. Someone asks you something, wait 2 seconds before answering. The quality of what comes out will surprise you. When something frustrating happens, most people's brains send one signal, react, immediately, and sometimes they're apologizing for it for days afterward. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, wrote about the gap between stimulus and response. However small that gap is, that's where choice lives. People who think well have learned to make that gap slightly wider. Before responding, they ask, is this worth my energy? What outcome do I actually want here? That one habit changes everything. Relationships improve, decisions improve. You stop saying things you wish you could take back. You become the person in the room who stays clear-headed while everyone else is spiraling, and that person has enormous influence. So, ask instead of argue, zoom out on setbacks, focus only on what you can move, get comfortable with silence, and pause before you react. 5 habits, all learnable. Pick just one and try it this week. And drop it in the comments. Which of these 5 do you think you're already decent at, and which one would your close friends say you seriously need to work on? Be honest. The comments are always the best part. See you in the next one.